right, guys, here we go. Thanks for joining us tonight for this Team Arena Challenge 3 qualifier match. Up at the top, representing its GoSu Esports in the red, playing Protoss, it is Kingdom. And down the bottom left part of the map, in the blue, from the team Karont3 Esports Club, it is LOL versus XD, or just LOL, or versus XD, or I don't know. I don't know, man.
I'm going to call him LOL. We'll see what happens. I'll call him Karont3 LOL.
I'm just going to refer to him as Zerg.
As Zerg.
LOLzerg.
LOLzerg. Oh, that's a good one.
There you go. All right, I'm going to call him LOLzerg.
LOLzerg.
That's it.
All right, so Kingdom versus LOLzerg. Kingdom going to open up with a pylon at the front of his natural. No real surprise there. The question is, does he go Nexus first? Does he drop down the Forge?
Yeah, and that's really, I mean, Protoss has a lot of different options. Zergs like to go for that 3-hatch build all the time now, so generally everything you do is safe. The days where, you know, Lucira is like roach speedling all-inning Protoss players is long over with. And ZVP is one of those interesting matchups that usually does, you know, go a little ways. There's very little cheese. There's very little kind of early rush builds from either side anymore. It's kind of become one of the more, I guess you could say, refined matchups in StarCraft 2 at the moment.
Yeah, it's pretty stable. There's not a lot of surprises yet. I mean, in general, people are going for that 3-hatch build we talked about. Yes, he did, and drops down a 15 spawning pool now for LOLzerg, and it looks like it is going to be Forge first for Kingdom, not opting for that very, very fast Nexus. But, you know, you talked about the stability of the matchup so far. It is there. A lot of times, Zerg players are going for that 3-hatch super, super fast Roach Max, but we've seen some players, even in this tournament, that will feign towards that, make a few Roaches, and then very quickly tech up to something like Mutas.
Oh, yeah, that's very true. I mean, you can just go for that 3-hatch, just get barely enough Roaches and Links to defend, and then tech. You know, a lot of Zergs like to throw down that Infestation Pit as well. And it looks like Kingdom is just going to kind of block things a little bit for LOLzerg here, and I'm surprised, actually, that LOLzerg isn't immediately going to that third base. He's actually just kind of sitting at the natural. A lot of Zergs would just go ahead and take that third right away, but looks like LOLzerg wants to just get rid of the pylon, take his natural normal time. It will be quite delayed, though. The one kind of danger with this is that a lot of Protoss players do kind of like to put a pylon at the third then when the drone shows up, and if that happens, if you've got a pylon at both bases, it just becomes very, very delayed for the Zerg. Oh no, there was going to be a gateway there, but
yeah.
Let's see. Yep, and really going all out with this. I almost feel like this may be a little bit too much from Kingdom, honestly.
And it looks like LOLzerg is just going to head right towards his opponent's base. We do have a Photon Cannon already coming up. We'll see if that turns LOLzerg away. No, actually still running out. Already the map pingers have started today. Oh, joy.
Oh, boy. All right. And so, yeah, that probe is kind of being annoying, too. Yeah, this is kind of what happens. I mean, and look at that. Another pylon at the natural. That's why Zergs, you know, have been deciding to just go immediately to that third base location. LOLzerg didn't do that, and because of that, he got, you know, both bases blocked, and now it's going to take a little while. The cannon does finish, and some Zerglings will get in, but it's only 4 Zerglings. He's going to be able to get a good scout, but this isn't anything that Kingdom shouldn't be able to just micro against. No, with his probes. He'll lose a little bit of mining time, but he should be fine. Yeah,
it's going to still be annoying for him, but the resources are still continuing to build up for LOLzerg at the moment. As we can see, he's about to knock down this pylon, so he will finally get a second hatchery down at the 5-minute mark, but he still hasn't touched this pylon.
900 minerals almost for LOLzerg. Crazy, yeah. And so the probes missing out on some mine time. Oh, he managed to pick up one. Good control there by LOLzerg, but overall not getting to do a whole lot with this. He did manage to force a cancel on that gas, actually, too, honestly. Wow.
Yeah, that's actually not too bad, as a few probes now headed back. The assimilator is under fire. We have our first zealot just making its way out right now. It's being chrono boosted and sent back home. Another gas did decide to get put down by Kingdom over at the natural.
You know, and this is really why I said that the gateway was a bit too much. When you put that gateway at the natural like that, even if you cancel it later on, you don't have that little bit bigger wall at your natural, and the Zerglings can just run by a lot of times and not take as much damage as they would normally. And if he gets this gas, that is actually huge for LOLzerg.
Yeah, just down to 150 hit points. He's got to make a pretty concerted effort to get that down now that the Zealot is out, though. And let's see here.
That's right.
He's about to, let's see if he circles back, tries to take it down again. We don't have any more gateway units coming out. In fact, you know, LOLzerg just continuing to be annoying, but good job by Kingdom not to pull anything off of the line. The assimilator has started to recover some shields, though, and trying to make a wall with those probes, runs them back into the Zealot, but is able to get away with all of those intact.
Now, this is interesting. 2 very early gases for LOLzerg and an early macro hatch as well. I think we might see him do that sort of roachling aggression that's become you know, pretty popular. But the thing is that he's not going to have as many drones as you would normally have going into that, and that's a very dangerous situation to be in. If Protoss defends it, suddenly your economy and your tech is behind. It becomes very difficult for Zerg to win. So I'm interested to see when Lolzerg is going to start making units with this, just because he got those 2 gases a little bit earlier than you normally see.
And Probe comes back in just to make sure that there is a third. I guess this is the kind of the third base coming down now, even though it's over at the natural. Probe will get cleaned up, but it gets all the scouting information he needs. And let's see here, though, as Zergling tearing after a couple of probes here. The Zealot getting in some pretty good swipes. Now gets his 3rd Zergling kill. But, you know, the economic damage was done with these initially. And units were pulled off the line. A couple of probes were killed. So Lolzerg certainly made those Zerglings count, but it doesn't make up for the fact that his bases came so much later in this game.
Yeah, actually 3 gases already for Lolzerg. He's not even using one of his hatcheries to mine or anything. He is going for roaches and evo chambers, speed as well, getting that lair up there. How many drones does Lolzerg have right now? 45 drones. That's actually very low to be starting unit production already. He's going to continue droning here quite a bit. I would imagine probably you usually want to be at around 60 to 70 drones before you really start pumping out units. And you can see normally you do have time for that. Obviously, it looks like it's going to be, well, not obviously, but probably going to be some 4-gate pressure from our Protoss player. And yeah, like you pointed out, Lolzerg, a little bit supply block, lost an Overlord there.
Yeah, and so he's trying to make, he actually just made 1, now making another 5 Overlords at the same time, and finally expending those larvae as he does invest in a couple upgrades as well. So more drones coming up. He's going to be on 61 here in a second, and then we'll start the unit production afterwards, it appears. Kingdom has been able to keep up, though, with a lot of sentries and zealots as well, even researching hallucination for now as he gets his robo facility.
Yeah, the hallucination choice is a bit of a surprise for me. You don't see too many Protoss players doing that, but it could still end up working out. He's actually going for Immortals along with this. He put down that robo base, so it won't just be that regular 4-gate pressure, it looks like. But yeah, kind of an interesting way to do things from both players actually right now. Doing things a little bit differently than we normally see. I kind of like that pylon block there, just in case Zerglings get in, you can kind of keep your probes a little bit safer. And yeah, he's actually just going to expand behind this, put a little bit of pressure on with these Zealots.
Yes, he is, and forces a few units out of his opponent. Looks like he is moving into that mass roach production now. Another 10 on the way, and has a cap and supply that he can continue to use his excess larvae on those if he so desires. Now, what Kingdom's doing is actually, you know, a variation of what Hexlov has actually been doing quite a bit lately. I know this because this is a build he taught me, and or close to one. This one prioritized gateways over the robotics facility at first, but the principle is still largely the same. 4-gate robo, get Twilight Council as you establish a 3rd base at the exact same time, and with the robo you can pull back massive waves of roaches with just a few sentries, so we'll see if that's going to work out for him.
Well, this is actually fascinating because Lolzerg is going for Hydras with this as well. He's just going to go for like a big 3-base Roach Hydra bus and just kind of go more or less all in with this. And if the Hydralisks get out in time, I would say he might be able to do okay. But we'll see. I mean, it's still a decent amount of roaches, but with the sentries, with the cannon there, we'll have to see how this goes.
All right. Well, there's Guardian Shield. The 2 Immortals at the back, not really under fire yet. A lot of Zealots were trapped in there, and the Zerglings can't attack yet. They're going to swing their way around the right-hand side, but most of the roaches have disappeared. Very good force field control here out of Kingdom initially, and then as soon as I say that, the last one had a little bit of a gap there that some Zerglings got through, but it still didn't matter. He's going to be able to take his 3rd, and has a lot of Zealots remaining still.
Those Immortals firing in the back were just so huge for Kingdom. I mean, he was able to hold that off really easily. Link's trying to find a way to get into the main, but that's not going to happen.
No.
Yeah, Lol versus XD just kind of having to take a break, expanding, and actually going for the Spire now. Okay.
Yes, he is, as he goes up to a 4th base as well. So decides he doesn't want to suicide on the Immortals that are sitting at his opponent's 3rd, and that 3rd is important to note. This is a pretty staggering economic output, and this is right where you want to be as a Protoss player at this stage in the game.
Yeah, things looking pretty good for Kingdom. The build for Lolzerg looking a little bit confused, I gotta say, at this point. You know, he's trying a couple different things. Things haven't really been working out. How many drones does he have right now? Again, I'm curious about that. 75. Okay, so he does have a decent amount of drones right now, but he was a little bit behind when he started to tech. So, you know, this may be just the way he plays this matchup. I've never seen any of his games before, but it's certainly very different from the current standard, the current way to play 3-hatch right now that most Zergs like Stefano, for example, are doing.
and a very smart switch out of Kingdom here. He's actually going up to an additional 4 gateways that'll give him 8 overall. He's also got the Templar taking a couple of storms as well. The immortal count is starting to go down, but our Zerg player is just losing so much stuff here.
Yeah, he was able to kill off 2 immortals, but he didn't really trade as efficiently as you would normally want to. He's got the infestation pit on the way, continuing to make a lot of roaches. He's going to start that pathogen glands upgrade right away, of course. Now, what Kingdom needs to do here is he needs to continue to kind of stay safe, but he needs to make sure that he's engaging as good as possible. And that doesn't include just losing results immediately. But basically, you need to just kind of max out, get your upgrades going. He knows he's more or less ahead. If you can put pressure on that 4th base, that's great. But overall, you know, just kind of a matter of getting the death ball basically built right now for Kingdom, and then you can start moving out and really kind of putting pressure on Zerg. And as long as he does that before there's a lot of Broodlords out, which shouldn't be too hard in this game, he should be fine.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Broodlord's still, let's see, 70 seconds away from high for finishing, then 100 for Greater Spire, then he has to work in Corruptors, and then the Broodlord build time on top of that. So it's going to be quite a while before those are ever an issue. Kingdom playing a very patient game, though, taking that Nexus at the 4th as well.
Yep, he kind of likes to do this. He's not a hyper-aggressive Protoss player like MC would be or something like that. He likes to kind of play patiently, especially in Protoss versus Zerg. A lot of Zergs are really stuck on this, you know, big heavy roach build, but it ends up in some cases, as we're seeing in this game, kind of defeating themselves to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Love Zerg, you know, despite having the supply lead, is a bit behind right now.
Yes, he definitely is, especially the way this 4th base is being taken right now.
This is a nice flank, though.
Yeah, we have some units coming into the 4th at the exact same time that the big attack is moving in. Yeah, you mentioned the flank from the side. The photon cannons aren't up either, but this is still a pretty good amount of damage output here from Kingdom. However, the roaches are getting about as good of an engage from 3 sides as they can, but it still doesn't look like it's going to matter all that much. Most of the roaches are still going down. Yeah,
that decision to blink back was a really, really good one. It let the Immortals tank some damage while the cannons finished. Good presence of mind by Kingdom to pull back and do that. GG from LoveZerg, and yeah, a really good illustration of what happens when you can't kill your opponent with that Roach Max.